Watchmen is the new HBO series from the writer and producer Damon Lindelof, the creator of shows like Lost and The Leftovers, whose work usually represents a mystifying concoction of science fiction, fantasy, physics, political science, romance, horror, suspense and psychological drama, with a touch of crime fiction tossed in. Once you enter the cosmology of a Lindelof show, you won't want to leave, even if you sometimes need to watch it with a Bible concordance, a map of locations, a guide to Greek mythology, a literary encyclopedia and a working knowledge of comic book lore. And this seems to be true of his adaptation of the iconic Watchmen graphic novel, created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons 30 years ago. It was an alternative history examination of authoritarian governmental power and the use of violence to achieve world peace, with its famous masked vigilantes set against the menace of the Cold War. Lindelof's reboot looks as though it will prove just as diffuse, and it must be said as mystifyingly entertaining. Watchmen the series takes place in a reimagined 2019, where Robert Redford is president. Yes, that Mr. Redford, following a long sequence set in 1921 Tulsa. This fabulous piece of storytelling comes after the sacking of the black community by the Ku Klux Klan, an extraordinarily violent set piece that sees black people mown down by small aircraft, the main street running with blood, only it seems a young boy and a baby escaping. To be explained later, one assumes. The cast includes 3 Oscar winners, Regina King, Jeremy Irons and Louis Gossett Jr., with King an electric superhero presence as Angela Abar, the police officer turned vigilante, also known as Sister Night, a cape-swishing character new to the Watchmen universe. Lindelof has said in his few short interviews regarding the show that the contemporary US equivalent of the original comic's nuclear standoff against the Russians is undeniably race and policing in America. In a traditional superhero movie, the bad guys are fighting aliens, and when they beat the aliens go back to their planet and everybody wins, he said. There's no defeating white supremacy. It's not going anywhere. So it felt like it was a pretty formidable foe.
Graham, I think this is resistible, despite the fact that you embraced it so well. I mean, I found it actually quite confusing. You get it that it's about, white supremacy and the fight against that. I actually found it a bit puerile, to tell you the truth.
Did you really? Yeah, I thought it was really intriguing, and like all his shows, it takes as I suggested in the introduction, it takes a while to get into them. There's so many references, and
Did you see all those references? I couldn't see any of those. I mean, I haven't read the original graphic novel, which I should have, but I did see Zack Snyder's film, which it got panned, but I actually really liked it, and I much preferred it to this, to tell you the truth. But
didn't you like Regina King's character?
I think
she's
got a great screen presence, that woman, but I mean, it's sort of like using the comic book mystique to try and delve into something quite serious. And you've got to give them credit for approaching that topic, but look, honestly, I just couldn't get into this like you did. All right, what are you going to give it?
I'm going to give this 4 stars.
I'll give it 3.
Ooh.
They're trying to start a war.
Well, it looks like you got things under control here.
Cool costume.
Thanks.